So I got cast as Edward, the Irishman in the play, who is a journalist from Dublin. And so I'm going to Dublin with my fake Irish accent. I've worked with David Lorraine, great dialect coach, and listened to lots of materials every day on the way to and from rehearsals. Our assistant director was born and raised in Dublin. And I think it was about 2 weeks out before we flew out that I went up to him and said, Michael, I'm really, concerned about this. I've been doing this rehearsals now for 6-7 weeks, and I'm not sure with what I'm saying, how it sounds. And he goes, all I can hear is Irish. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Talent Talk is sponsored by Company of Rogues Actors Studio, New York-style training for actors at all stages of their journey. With our part-time classes and full-time masterclass program, Rogues provides a unique post-secondary option under the guidance of working professionals. Mentoring and developing professional film and theater artists since 1993, Calgary's longest-running independent studio offers practical hands-on classes in a positive, supportive environment. Check us out at corogues.com. Company of Rogues, passionate about the art of acting.
Hey guys, welcome to Talent Talk. I'm your host, Chingaze. Before we start the show, let's get all the ums out of the way. Now, what we should do is we should thank our sponsors, of which there are plenty. We've got Company of Rogues, 6 Degrees, Workflow Films, RJ Talent, Herd of One, Counting Coup Indigenous Film Academy, and last but not least, ACTRA Alberta. Thanks for supporting the arts, guys. Also, please like and subscribe. That's a thing you can do. So today, we've got a hell of a guest. I haven't spoken to him yet, but I know he's a hell of a guest. Why? Stop it. Because I actually respect the man. Now, I'd never say that for film, but I have a lot of respect for this guy, and let's just see what happens. So, please help me welcome, in a two-shot, Mr. Stuart Bentley. Hey, Stuart.
Hey, Chingaze, how are you doing?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Oh, I didn't know you'd be asking me questions.
Oh, that's turnabout's fair play, right?
Oh, I guess. Listen, man, first of all, what do you think of this sweater? No, thank you for taking the time to join us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for asking me in.
Yeah, I didn't ask you. Gary, my boss, did. Let's get to the questions. No, are you doing well?
I'm doing great.
Good, man. How am I doing? Listen, Stuart, briefly, tell us what you do in this. Why do I have so much respect for you?
Oh, God.
Tell us, what do you do in this?
It's a good question. I don't know where you got the respect part from.
Well, you're taller and older than I am.
Yeah, there's that, yeah. You got more hair, so.
All over.
Yeah. That's good. I've been acting, I guess, now for 50 years, so.
Wow.
Started in high school and did a hell of a lot of shows back then.
Okay.
And I've done mostly stage work, lots of community theater, some semi-pro. I've done TV and radio commercials over the years. Probably did my first short film when I was 17. And in the last 3-4 years, I've started doing audiobook narration too.
Yeah. I feel that's a bit newer because I always thought of you as a stage actor. When I think of you, which is often, I think of you as a stage actor first, and then a film actor, and then whatever. But what about some of the commercials that were audio? How did you go from audio commercials to doing books?
Geez, that's a good question. The two are so different. I've always thought that I love listening to great narration, like on nature films and Disney films, when I was a kid. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to be that guy that's describing what's going on in the show. I always wanted to do that.
You want to be the guy pushing the lemons off in the end of the ocean? Because lemmings don't actually jump off. You want to be that guy.
No, that's let a grip do that. Okay. And I'll just talk about it. No, a friend of mine, Dawn Harvey, is an accomplished audiobook narrator, award-winning, and she's been teaching the art and business of audiobook narration for 12, 13 years, I think now.
Okay. And a hell of a dame, too. And I can say that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's amazing.
Okay.
So I always wanted to take her course, and she would offer it once or twice a year. It would be in person for a whole weekend. And every time she did it, I was on stage or in rehearsals and it wasn't available. So COVID came around and I wasn't on stage anywhere, as nobody was. And she offered her course online for the first time, and I jumped at it.
Oh, very nice. Shout out to The Voice of Dawn, I believe is the name. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I'm on a mailing list.
Or The Dawn of Voice.
Ah, damn it. I'm not on a mailing. I tried to be
Sorry,
cool.
Dawn.
Yeah, sorry, Dawn. Anyway, she's not one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
Pff, whatever. Do you remember the first couple of, like, not high school stage gigs, but do you remember the first couple of gigs? Like film and stuff? I'm going to take a drink out of this comically.
Yeah. Well, the first film gig I got was right after high school. I actually got approached just before graduation to shoot a film in the summer, and it was for ADAC. I don't even know if ADAC exists still. The Alberta Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission is what they were called. And they were doing a short film written by Warren Graves and starring Warren Graves about teenage alcoholism.
Okay.
And
were you like a yay or a nay on that?
I was like a country boy who got in trouble crashing a truck when he had drank too much with his buddy. And so we shot all that stuff out in Canmore, and we were riding motorcycles across train trestles. It's the first time I'd ever ridden a motorbike. So, yeah, that scared the hell out of me. I wasn't an accomplished motorcycle rider.
Was that like in the 80s or something where they could get away with that?
No, 80s. Geez, you think I'm much younger than I am. That was right out of high school. That was 1975.
75. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I don't know. Some stories I've heard about the older films and things. I'm just like, and you're holding on to the side of a horse, but you're not a stuntman. You know?
No, there was no stuntman safety gear or nothing. We were hoping the train wouldn't come. Okay. It was like, and these days that's a real legitimate worry because.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I was going to make a Stand By Me joke, but I won't do that.
Maybe not.
We'll cut that out. Thanks, Workflow Films. All right. So let me see. What? You've been at this for 50 years. So you started when I was 1. We better cut that out.
Cut that out.
Yeah, you cut that out right now. How do you still stay excited and stuff, man? How do you get up for this work?
Every chance I get to, work with a new director, I love working with, all the different crew that are available. If it's on stage, I'm, working with the costumers. And everybody, stage management. I learn something every time I do something. So it's always an opportunity to find a new way to approach something or see how other people do jobs. I'd like to think that maybe sometimes I serve as a mentor for maybe how to behave on set. I don't know. I certainly think I do a good job of that. And I've seen people that maybe don't behave so nice at times, but I think we've all seen that in public.
I think we've all done that in
we
public.
might have all done that at times because none of us is perfect. Yeah. Apologies to any salespeople I may ever have abused verbally. I'm better now.
That's not on set. That's just life.
That's just life, yeah.
We're not talking about life, man. We're talking about acting and such. I'm not going to come up here and apologize for all the terrible things I did to teachers and things.
Yeah. I really feel like blessed when I get an opportunity to do any kind of work, whether it's on stage, film, in a studio recording a commercial, you name it. It's an honor to be able to be asked to do that, and it's stay humble, enjoy yourself, and listen a lot.
Mm-hmm. I do remember early on when you were lucky enough to go on a set, every single person there had some information that you could use.
Oh, yeah.
Every single person. And then a couple of years later, it became, 50% of the people had information that would actually be useful to you, And I don't know, 17 years in or something, now I kind of feel like the obviously not looking directly at your face, but I do feel like why am I being mean to this man? He helped me find my house. And I don't mean on a drunken spree. You're like, it's that one. I mean, this man helped me find our house.
Yeah, not too many people can afford to just be an actor, so.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So I sell the odd house.
I heard sell the outhouse, which maybe that could be.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, put that on a business card.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought I enunciated better than that, but thanks for, increasing my concern about that.
Look, you're a professional. You don't need my help. I would be part of that. I'd be part of that. You don't have to listen to this person on set.
Yeah, that's
crossed
fair.
into that section.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
I hope you didn't think anyone ever listened to you, honestly. But
I don't. You know what? One of my greatest fears. Let's make this about me. One of my greatest fears is when a young actor or a young person comes up to me and he goes, "Oh man, you know that advice you gave me?" And I'm like, "Was it advice or was I making a joke?" Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's my biggest fear when someone comes up and goes, "Oh boy, I really acted on that thing," and you're like, "Okay."
Yeah. So you've been fired. Is that what you're telling me?
I've been fired once.
You did what I said, and you're still here. All credit.
Oh man. Hey, have you traveled for work? Done any acting work?
I mean, other than like driving from Red Deer to Calgary for film work when I was living in Red Deer, did that. But I did get an opportunity to be cast in a show, a stage show called Someone Who'll Watch Over Me. It's an incredible stage play written by Frank McGuinness. It's about three men, an Englishman, an Irishman, and an American who are chained to a wall in a cell in Lebanon. And it sounds like the start of a joke, but it's the start of a play based on the hostage takings that happened in Lebanon back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
And like most Irish theater, it's very dark and, very darkly funny.
Okay.
Audiences here, when we performed it here, didn't see as much of the humor because they just, took in the gravity of the situation.
Sure.
The reason I really auditioned for this play, I really loved the play. My wife had directed it a few years earlier. I wasn't in it. And I always wanted to have a shot at it. Okay. And so when Liffey Players was doing it, I decided I would audition. The big draw for me was they were going to be performing it at the Acting Irish International Theatre Festival, which is a festival of expat Irish theatre companies all around different parts of North America. Okay. And for the first time, the festival was going to be held in Dublin, Ireland. So I got cast as Edward, the Irishman in the play, who is a journalist from Dublin. And so I'm going to Dublin with my fake Irish accent. I've worked with David Lorraine, great dialect coach, and listened to lots of materials every day on the way to and from rehearsals. Our assistant director was born and raised in Dublin. And I think it was about 2 weeks out before we flew out that I went up to him and said, Michael, I'm really, concerned about this. Like, I've been doing this rehearsals now for like 6-7 weeks. And I'm not sure with what I'm saying, how it sounds. And he goes, all I can hear is Irish. Just keep doing what you're doing. And we went there. The night we performed it, I got off stage and walked out front to the lobby where there was lots of local people enjoying Guinness and Jameson. And few of them had more than one beverage by the time I got there. And this big Irishman with a big red face come up, and he had a huge smile on his face, grabbed my hand and started shaking my hand and said, "Oh boy, you had the best fake Irish accent of all of them. Which I guess is high praise. I don't know. But our play ended up winning the festival. And we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Man, oh man. Well, that's a hell of a traveling.
I traveled to Dublin. So that was once. Yeah,
wow, that's so cool. And so daunting. Just to do an accent, I know someone like Michael Caine is not interested in doing accents because he's like, well, 50% of the time you're thinking about the accent and 50% of the time you're thinking about acting. Just doesn't like doing it. But
he's done a really credible Texas accent.
I do find, I think the English actors now are better at doing American accents because for 20-odd years, every English actor doing an American accent was Southern. And you're like, come on, man. Did you not notice everyone had a twang? Everyone was a little bit Western.
Fraser Crane's father sounded like he was from New York. And, he's from Northern England.
Okay. But I do feel they're better now. Now when I'm watching it, you're watching really The Walking Dead, and you're like, half of this cast is not from here. Okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But doing it in front of that audience, I think, would be very difficult and very daunting. So when you're approaching an accent, let's go off on that for a second. Do you find trying to mimic a person, a real live person, any benefit versus mimicking an accent? How do you feel about that? For me, I mimic a person, and I'm like, I don't care if they got a broken Irish accent. I don't care if that Irish accent has been filtered through an American audience. If they've been here for 5 years. I'm going to mimic a person because they're real.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for two things, and I've had the great fortune to work with a few different dialect coaches on how to learn dialects as well as on specific coaching for shows. Okay. And I want to know, like, what are the differences in the consonant and certain vowel sounds and vowel combinations, so I sort of have a good notion of what those are. Okay. And that's nice to have, but beyond that, you got to go out and find video or audio of native speakers who are reading or just talking, like man on the street interviews, you name it, and really listen over and over again so you get the musicality of the way they speak. Because that's a really huge part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're listening to and watching somebody just naturally speaking as they have their whole life, you get used to the pace, the rhythm, and it makes everything else easier, and you just start to hear and just feel the way everything is pronounced. It comes out. It makes it a lot easier.
Nice.
Some accents are a lot harder than others, and yeah.
Yeah, I've done an Egyptian one. It was very difficult.
I'm certainly not a pro at it, but okay. I played one on TV.
Okay. Wow. There you go. That's a doctor line.
I know, it's terrible. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How does this feel natural?
Sure. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. It feels pretty natural.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You can't tell that I had like 3 hits of NyQuil just before, just to smooth me out a little bit, just to calm me down.
That's fair. Yeah.
All right. Well, man, I wondered how you build up character. Let's get the hard questions now.
Jeez.
Now we're at the tough questions.
Building a character.
Yeah. Is it costume sort of whatever, or do you try and find a hook? What is the deal?
Well, I mean, everything, like when you get on stage or on a film set, all of your props, the people around you, the atmosphere that's been set for you, costume, all of that aids to support. Mm-hmm. But building that character begins with the script. I mean, you read the whole script, you find out, what is the story arc my character goes through. Try to answer the questions about him, like who is he? What makes him tick? And try to figure out, everything you can about the character. Okay. And, most scripts you're going to handle are going to be fictional characters. So really you only have what's in that, 90 pages to work with. Mm-hmm. And from that, seeing how they interact with everybody, you try to figure out all their motivations, and that really informs your decisions of the character. And the really exciting thing is, the writer will have had a certain idea, mm-hmm. and every actor that approaches that role and every director that directs that role will have slightly different ideas. So you can see the same play, 50 times by 50 different actors, and you're going to see 50 completely different performances. And that's what I freaking love about live theater. Okay. Every now and again, you get to play a historic character. Probably my best memory on stage was playing Richard Nixon in Frost Nixon. And, to be able to research who he was growing up, what happened to his family, the death of his brother, how his mother took care of sick people as he was growing up. And she was sainted. He talked about that later in a speech when he was really drunk, about his sainted mother. Okay. And in learning how he became so bitter and so paranoid. Mm-hmm. And it really informed how I performed the role because, he's the villain of the piece. Mm. But, all characters view themselves as the hero in their own stories. So to be able to crawl inside his character, his persona, mm-hmm. It was just an absolute joy to perform.
Very cool. I do feel I'm the hero of this piece. Time will tell. Anyway, it's not for me to decide.
Ask Mel later.
Yeah. Oh, interesting, man. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I always wondered about, sometimes music or there's some hook or you just read something on the page, and you're like, it's just a little. But I actually, further than the page, I like working with a director who will also just, because often they didn't write it, and they like it to a certain extent. Yeah. They don't love it. They don't love the script. They like it. And, I've had a director kind of turn to me, and you're having a scene where you're really fighting with someone. You're really passionate about your side of the thing. And then he just turns to you and he goes, you're lying. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Everything I say is untrue now? Oh, my God. All right.
Absolutely. The eyes of the director can make huge differences in your performance. And that's, you start in one place and then everything else builds on it. Ultimately, our job is to be there and perform the words under the direction of, that one person who sees all, and they've got their idea of what they want.
Right.
But
Right. Well, I am learning things. You read the full script? You read the full script.
If it's a film audition or something like that, you typically don't get it.
Yeah. But no, once you get it, they're like, hey, man, you did it. You did it. You got the call back. You're doing 14 pages of this 90-page script. You read the whole script?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I want to know the full arc of the story. I want to know where I fit into it, understand how my relationship with the other people in each scene I'm in. I want to know how they talk about me in scenes I'm not in. So if there is lines like that. So you really have to understand the full arc of the story.
Okay. I generally don't read the full 14 pages that I'm on, but we'll see. This is a breath of fresh air, man. I'm learning so much. So how about some tips for the kids, man? How about some tips? Let's shake you and see what comes out knowledge-wise. How do you approach auditioning? We don't have to do that.
Auditioning's the job.
Okay.
I think one of the nice, I wish I knew who made the quote, but my favorite quote about acting is, we are paid to audition. We get on set or on stage and we act for free. We're paid to audition.
Okay.
That's the hard work. That's where you do, you create a fully fleshed character who's performance ready and give it your very best interpretation for the camera if you're doing a self-tape or in the room with a casting director. Or if it's for stage, you're probably just in the room with a director and stage manager and producer, and you're auditioning for them. And if they're giving you feedback to try it a different way, do your very best to really listen to the instruction you're giving and redo it. And when it's done, you're done. Your job is done. Don't sweat it. Don't leave going, I screwed that up. I'm never getting this job. Because that's just...
Because you've done your job.
But I've also left rehearsals. I left audition rooms going, I screwed that up. I messed that up. I should have done this. And as soon as I stopped doing that and said, no, the job's done. I finished my job. Right. I'm going to leave now. And I'm really happy that I had that opportunity.
Right.
Because that's the whole thing. You're going to hear no way more than you hear yes. So don't sweat the no's and don't sweat, I wonder if I'm going to get a yes after the audition. Just do your best. And it's next. Check your email for your next audition.
Okay.
Or, go shopping. Take the dogs for a walk.
There's a lot of power in being like, this is it, this 1 minute, this 2 minutes, and as soon as I say thank you and goodbye, I'm out the door.
That's the job. Be confident in that and be happy with whatever it is you do.
Right. Hey, Stuart, while I still have you here, because I know when the cameras aren't on, he doesn't talk to me, but let me ask you about some of the audiobooks. Now, I do remember hearing you do the red tag commercials, like commercials, red tag days, and it's a joy when you're just driving the car and you're like, like when you hear a friend doing, I love it. I absolutely love it. Then instantly after it, then I'm jealous and I hate them. But yeah. What are you working on now, audiobook wise?
I've got a fairly large sort of murder mystery that I'm currently narrating. It's called The Old Town Horror. And it's set in Alexandria, just a few miles outside of Washington, D.C., very historic city, historic streets and buildings. And the author and he's going to kill me because I can't remember his name.
Well, forget him.
God. Anyway.
Just tell us the last page of the book. Just do some of the last page.
I'm not going to do that. But,
Fine.
So the book is, it's about a murder that has happened and some other interesting events that happen in the city. And it's set sort of during the COVID and post-COVID era. So he's taken a lot.
1963?
Yeah. The author has taken a lot of the events that happened all over the United States over about a 3-year period and compressed them down and put them all in Alexandria over like a 6-week period. Okay. So it's, you sort of see the spillover of protests and statues being taken down and terrorism and everything sort of all coming together.
Okay.
And of course, he is an expert on the city. He does history tours of the city in his real life. He's also a writer. He has written speeches for presidents. He wrote for Jay Leno's show. He's been an editor for Time magazine, and he's got about 15 or 17 books, fiction and nonfiction, out. So the book reads almost like half travelogue, half murder mystery. It's
very cool.
But it's a very dense and tremendously interesting read. The characters are great.
Oh, nice. We'll have his name go by, and kudos to this guy. Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Ed Moser?
Ed Moser.
I think. Yeah, my brain is really gone. Yeah,
Ed Moser.
Ed Moser.
Okay.
Terrible.
When you're doing the audiobooks, and you're doing all the characters and you're doing the actions and stuff, when you're doing like a lady's voice, you go up higher, you change the voices a little bit for, what do you do for?
Sure. I mean, whether it's a lady or a child, you don't affect it huge. I mean, you don't go, oh, I'm a lady now, because that's just Monty Python and it's stupid. It doesn't work.
For the, can we just use that clip, Gary? Can we, for the advertising of this particular show?
No, you pitch it up slightly, you put a little more air behind the voice.
Okay.
So
can you give me two voices? Just slip from one to another and just give me one sentence. It doesn't have to be a sentence from Ed Moser's book.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll just, hold on, I'm going to close my eyes, pretend like I'm listening. Go for it.
So I was walking down the street and she said to me, well, what do you want to do that for?
Yeah.
That's just, it's little things.
That works, brother.
There's not a lot.
That works.
And, if it's a child's voice, it's similar. You just pitch it there. The listener knows they're listening to the voice of a 12-year-old boy or an 18-year-old girl. And they're just like when you read a book, you inhabit the characters of the book and they live in your mind and you paint the whole story.
Right.
Listening to audiobooks is much the same. And a good narrator will allow you to just create the picture as they're narrating it. I love audiobooks. I listen to them all the time when I drive. It's the best prevention for road rage because you're just focused on this wonderful story and I'm just getting where I'm going and traffic happens around me and I get there and it's like, yeah, it's really great.
Okay.
Yeah. But listening to audiobooks also gives you a tremendous insight for performance because you listen to how many different narrators and how they approach characterization and the narration part, and if it's first person or third person narration.
Right.
Or nonfiction.
Nice. And you get to write it all off too, which is excellent.
Write it all off.
Yeah, you're buying the things. You're doing the things, you write it off.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how, I don't need to tell you how to do that.
Yeah. It's all part of the learning.
All right.
Courses, actors, if you're watching a movie, the cost of that entertainment, because it's not just entertainment.
Yeah.
You're learning from everything you see.
Absolutely. I wrote off this hair earlier. Whatever. Listen, Stuart, a fountain, if not of youth, of certain knowledge. That's what made Stuart sad, everybody. This has been a delight, man. I'm super happy you, as you can tell, we're done with you.
Oh.
We've gotten to that portion.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But no, I thank you so much for taking the time and coming out here and dropping some information bombs on us.
No, thanks for your interest and the questions. I really enjoyed myself today.
Cool.
And it's been great. Thank you.
That sounded loaded.
Oh.
Yeah, I really enjoyed myself today. We'll discuss after the show. Listen, we're getting to it. So thank you. I'm going to throw back to this camera and do that thing that I do. I'll even adjust myself. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching Talent Talk. I've changed my voice. Thank you so much for watching Talent Talk. I was Chingaze. That was Stuart. Next week, we're going to have someone else. And that's it. So like and subscribe, even if you didn't. There you go. Thanks. See ya. Should I tail slate? Does anyone need that? Don't read my notes. Chingaze.